Good afternoon, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Oh my gosh, I have a huge treat for us. I have our good friend, author John Vandeventer, here in the studio with us today, and he and his new co-host for his new show, Nikki Johnson. She will hopefully be here in just a minute. They are going to join us today, and we're going to get into some really cool topics, including we're going to get back to that 3-eye atlas that we've talked about before. Y'all know I did some remote viewing on that thing, but we have some developments when it comes to this interstellar object. NASA has classified it as a comet, I do believe, but it has no tail. Okay, but we're going to talk about that. Some NASA cover-ups we're going to get into today a little bit, and some gigantic, huge objects that are around the rings of Saturn and some other places. It's going to be wild, y'all. So buckle up, y'all. Buckle up, buttercups. We've got some rabbit holes to dive down today, and I couldn't be more excited to have John back with us today. So if you guys would like to check out my social media links and all that kind of stuff, please go over to my website. That's thecryptidhuntress.com. You can find also my Patreon there. And shout out to all my Patreon members and to all my channel members with the Hunt Club. Thank you guys so much for all your support. And I also have a shop on Etsy where you can find the goods. It's called War Woman Goods. And I have a whole bunch of new stuff I need to go put in that shop. And I will keep y'all posted when I get all that put up in there. Lots of good jewelry. If you guys are into vintage jewelry, turquoise, biker rings, and all that, it's over there on my website. So thank you guys for all your support. Also, I do have several events that are coming up. If you guys would like to see me in person and come hang out with me on the 27th of September, we do have the Georgia Bigfoot Conference, the fall conference up in North Georgia. And so I will give you more details on that as I get it. And of course, we have the Super Soldier Activation Conference. That's going to be in Orlando, Florida, October 8th through the 12th. And we had James Rink on the show on Monday, and we did a full overview of everybody that's going to be at that conference on Monday. So y'all go check that out. It's at the end of Monday's show if you're interested in joining us at that. Also, I will be also at the Molina Bigfoot Festival. That's in November 8th. Okay. All right. Well, let's stop wasting time, y'all. We got John here. Okay. So let me introduce John, and then we'll get the show on the road. Okay, so today we are exploring strange anomalies pertaining to the interstellar object 3-eye atlas and possible alien probes. Somebody say probes. With author John Vandeventer and Nikki Johnson. John is from Plano, Texas, born in Dallas, Texas, of course, where he has had a lifelong interest in military aviation. And back in 1978, oh my gosh, it's about as long as I've been around. He enlisted in the U.S. Air Force. He served 16 years as a crew chief on an F-111 and A-10 aircraft. He spent 2 years as U.S. Air Force Disaster Preparedness Specialist, where he practiced emergency management and taught classes on nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare defense. Let's see. His lifelong love of military aviation history also sparked an interest in UFOs. Of course, he started writing books, back in 2015 or so. I think it was around 2018. He and his wife moved to Hanobi, excuse me, I always pronounce that wrong. Hanobi, Oklahoma. And right in the middle of Oklahoma Bigfoot country, he retired in 2022 to pursue his dream to become a writer. So he actually started writing in 2022, I think. But you guys will remember his Relics book series and the Shadow Chasers youth novel series. Some of my favorite books. He has been hard at work with that. And John has been recuperating from some medical treatments. And he is back here today on the show, joining us today. He actually is he's starting a brand new podcast called Crossover Cryptids with his friend Nikki Johnson. And hopefully Nikki will join us in just a little bit today. But for now, please help me welcome back to the Cryptid Hunters channel, author John Vandeventer. Hey, John.
Hi, Dawn. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being here.
After a year I had, I'm glad too.
Me too. How have you been? Give us an update on what's been going on.
Well, I got a free cruise on Club Chemo for most of the year. Chemo treatment stopped back in June. I'm recovering from a surgery from an infection I had and the chemo, and feeling good. Just going to take a while to get all my strength back. It's just been a rough year. It kicked off on Christmas Eve when I had to get in an ambulance ride to the hospital and stayed there through New Year's, and went back in February, went back in March, May, and was back in June, got out 4th of July. And so I've been laying low. In fact, my wife, if she goes to Fort Smith, she'll say, "You want to go?" I'm like, "No, that hospital's there." I don't want to get anywhere near it.
I don't blame y'all, not one bit. But
I've had a blessed year. I'm recovering. I'm still with it, still kicking and screaming. So glad to be here.
Yeah, and I drug you on the show today, kicking and screaming. No, I'm just kidding. You weren't kicking and screaming.
No, actually, I'm so happy to be here. Glad you had me.
Well, thank you. I'm super excited, and I mean, you've got some fire lit under your feet right now because you have started a new podcast. I know it hasn't launched yet completely to the public, but tell me about that.
Well, one thing, in fact, I did start writing back in 2015, actually late 2014. So I've been in it 10 years, and the first book, Relics, was centered around Bigfoot at the request of a friend and my sister. And I just, I enjoyed writing it, got into Bigfoot a little bit, and I got, and it kind of got me back into studying on UFOs and other cryptids. And I just, I started noticing there are so many people that's all they do, everything. And I'm not knocking them, we all have something. And, but I just noticed that so many were so caught up in it, it was like it was almost possessing them.
Yeah.
And I started thinking a couple of years ago, and, of course, like any podcast, you can watch it if you want. If you don't, you don't want. But I'm a Christian. I've been saved, and I've started most of my books center around the root of the problem goes back to the fallen angels. So I kind of believe, most of the stuff is connected to that. That's my belief. And so I wanted to share those thoughts with people, and I wanted to tie in, some of the supernatural stuff to that. And then started getting ill around late 2022, early 2023. Couldn't figure it out. Never got the ball rolling real good. And then last year, 2024, they confirmed it was cancer. And so I've had to go through the treatment on that, and everything's kind of been put on the back burner. And I noticed now there's guys like L.A. Marzulli that have been making this connection for decades. And I've noticed too that there's other podcasts coming out that have the same theme, like Blurry Creatures. I don't know if you've heard of them or not.
I have.
And I just thought, you know what, I still want to do this. God's blessed me with more life. I didn't die in that hospital. So I'm back and ready to get going again. I'm kind of laughing. My original book, Relics, The Dark Autumn, I've got with the publisher right now getting a thorough go over with, instead of machine editing, I've got line editor and content editor. And so it's like, I can never quite get done with that first book. So I'll be releasing a new edition of that within the next 3 to 4 months. So hopefully I want to have it out by Christmas. I'm working on the sequel to the fall, and I'm working on a new Shadow Chaser book. So got a lot of irons in the fire right now for a guy that hadn't got his strength back all the way yet.
I know. Don't overdo it too fast, okay? You better take a deep breath and just chill, okay? And
Once it
everything will
gets on
happen
me,
in
I'll have a
perfect
day where I
timing.
feel really good, and I'll start doing too much, and she starts reeling me. You
Yeah.
need to slow down. You need to sit down. And if I don't, I feel terrible the next day. I'm like, okay, I'll listen to you next time. And she rolls her eyes, and
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
because
Well, I'm just super happy that
But
you.
I was going to mention Nikki. I hope she gets here. Nikki Johnson. I've known her for a couple of years. We have a lot of the same interests as far as the paranormal, and a lot of the same viewpoints. And she's a mother and wife first, and she's an entrepreneur. And she also is big into child advocacy. Right now, one of her missions are, I don't know which country it is in Africa, but trying to rescue children that are being used there for like black magic rituals and things like that.
Oh yeah.
So I hope she makes a day. She seems like a very busy young lady. So um, she said she'd get here. We'll see. But she's been a big help, and she's going to co-host with me when she can make it. In fact, she's the one that did the graphic for the crossover cryptids podcast. So there you go. She did that. So very talented young woman, but very busy.
Well, I love it. Hey, if you ever want to get something done, you task it to a busy person. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's why
Right?
she's been going after this 3-eye atlas thing all month. And I'd mention it to her, send her a link or something, and she'd come back with all this info. So when we were coming on the show, and she said she would be here, I was like, good, you can handle the 3-eye atlas stuff because she's all over it.
Oh yeah. Well, I've
And
been
here I
covering
am.
it too. Yeah, well, this is kind of a big deal, John. Okay, this 3-eye
Yeah.
atlas is kind of a big deal because what is the third interstellar? I think it's third interstellar
Yes.
object we've ever had that we know of in our solar system, and so it people are saying there's this one Harvard astrophysicist, Avi Loeb, is saying that this thing is first he was saying it was a hostile alien threat, is what he said, hostile alien spacecraft. I believe, and that was tasked to me as a remote viewing target. So I've actually covered it one show, and then we did part of a show where I had talked about the remote viewing data on it. I believe that this is some sort of, dare I say, man-made or alien-made craft of some sort. But there have been
Intelligently made, maybe. Yeah.
intelligently made. Yes, that's a good way to put it. But there's been some developments actually in the past week. They're saying now that it's got forward-facing lights on it.
I saw that.
Okay.
And I saw another thing the other day that they said somehow, and I don't know how they would do this, they detected movement on it, on the surface somehow. I don't know how they would do that. And I mentioned that to Nikki, and she was saying, well, they'd have to do this, do that. And it sounded like rocket science, and I'm only a jet mechanic, so I bailed off that subject.
Well, John, you spent a lot of time in the U.S. Air Force, so I'm assuming. I mean, you know something about. I'm not going to say spacecraft, but jets and things like that. You know more than the average person, probably, than a lot of than me, especially when it comes to
Well,
spacecraft or aircraft.
I don't really know anything about space travel or
Yeah.
how they the math they use to navigate things or send things where they want them is just I don't know how to figure all that out. But yeah, I was F-111s, A-10s. They got jet engines. They suck in air, blow it out the back, and make the thing go. And there you go. That's you're ready to work on them too now.
That's I could go become a mechanic now. on a
Yeah,
in
good to
Boeing or
know.
at Lockheed
Just
Martin.
learn how to wave your arms and tell them which way to go. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. Oh man. Well, I think Nikki just joined the studio.
Great.
Oh, yes. Let's see. Are we ready to bring Nikki up? Okay, I can't wait to meet her actually. And let's see. Here we go. This is Nikki
There
Johnson,
she is.
everybody. Hey, Nikki.
Hi,
It's nice to
Nikki.
meet you.
Hello, hello. Yeah, great to meet you too. Can you hear me okay? I'm having all kinds of issues with this MacBook and the audio on StreamYard. So,
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
okay.
Yeah, you look great and you sound great. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's great.
Thank you for being
Thanks
here.
for having me.
Of course. Well, John was just telling us about you a little bit, and
okay.
he was bragging on you. Okay.
Okay, good.
Bragging on you a lot. And we
Appreciate
had actually he was telling us a little bit about your background. So first of all, welcome to the Cryptid Hunters channel, and tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, I guess.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm a married mom of two. I, just a typical normal, American mom, I think. But coming off of COVID, I think that a lot of us felt a little differently about things. So, coming off of COVID, I decided to create an organization called Parents for Kids Health. So, since then, I've just been working with parents in different capacity to make sure that they are actively taking a upfront role in their family's total wellness. So that can mean a lot of things, but it will cover pretty much all basis with that. But yeah, that's where I'm at. But
Awesome.
lots of other passions besides just helping other families. So it's a little bit about me.
That.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I've got a kid too. I got one myself, just one, but but that's great. And we love your artwork. John's excited. I know y'all are excited about your new podcast you got coming up, and so that's amazing.
Yeah, super excited for this opportunity. Yeah, it's something we've talked about for a little bit, and now it's finally coming to fruition.
Oh yeah, and I absolutely love the biblical connections to cryptids and things like that as well. I am a cryptid huntress, okay, and I think it's very important that we do bring that into the conversation. With all this, the historical texts when it comes to the Bible, especially. So
absolutely,
so kudos
to you guys. It's full of it.
It is.
I mean, from you can make total, so many of those connections have been hid from us, obviously. We've taken the supernatural out of the most supernatural thing that's ever existed. So, hopefully we'll be able to reconnect some dots there.
Yes, I love that. I love it. Candy Zibby, thank you for that super sticker. You are so sweet. I hope you're doing well, and thank you for your support. It means the world to me. It does. Okay. All right. Well, let's get into this talk today, y'all, about 3I Atlas a little bit. Nikki, I've heard you've done a lot of research on it. And I too have done a lot of research on this. I've done 2 shows on it already. And there's been some developments in the past week where they're talking about there's forward-facing lights on it. And that they've even changed, I believe they changed the date to where like it's going to be here sooner or like closer to Earth sooner than they were saying in the beginning. I don't know. What do you guys know about 3I Atlas?
I know Nikki knows more than I do. I've just been watching the general progression and catching the hype on YouTube. And I know like the other day, Nikki, I mentioned to you that they had detected movement on the surface, and you were saying, I don't know how they would do that. And so right then I was like, okay, I'm backing off of this because she's making more sense than I am and seems to have a better grasp of it than I do.
Yeah, it's pretty far out there at this point, and it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. This has absolutely captivated me since, really we saw the waters break open at the beginning of July, from flood after flood after flood after flood. And it's just interesting that this also, came into our daily discussion almost at the beginning of July. So it's changed a lot, from what we know, what was speculated, but still kind of the same. We of course are knowing a little bit more. I was up late last night reading paper that just came out. Now, I have made the comment to someone the other day on X post that I haven't read this many scientific papers in like a really long time, and this is not something that I know. I don't know this math, and I don't know physics. I don't know, any of that stuff. So having to cross-reference to what the heck does this even mean? It takes a while to get a grasp of it. But yes, there's lights. The way that I described it in one of my X posts was basically like, it's like a train coming, barreling through a tunnel at you, and the light is in the front or in the undercarriage, but which is typically not seen in a comet. So, and there's so many of these things that are typically not seen. And so we talk again, like the one that I read last night was that there doesn't seem to be, I believe it's iron. You would expect these things to have a core of iron, but they're just not seeing that. And so again and again, the observations are saying, we just need more data. We need more data. We need more data. It's very interesting.
It is. And there's that one Harvard astrophysicist who's like Avi Loeb, and he's the main person that's been speaking out on this, which actually, of course, I mentioned that I'd spoken about this on my shows before in the audience. We were all a little suspicious of that. It's like one guy saying, well, this is like a hostile alien craft, and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of people watching this right now, and one of my favorite YouTube channels. Okay, I don't know if I've ever talked about this guy before. There's a guy his name's Jesse, I believe, but he's with BP Earthwatch, and I don't know if you guys anybody in the chat follows him. If you don't, y'all go over and subscribe to his channel, BP Earthwatch. He's the one that I actually did some screenshots, so that's why I'm giving him a shout out today. These are some of the pictures. I think these may have been from Hubble, if I'm not mistaken, but he had taken some of these pictures and enhanced them on his computer, and he was talking about how there is a forward-facing light on this 3-eye atlas, and that he ran these through some programs on his computer, and he said that it would explain why the backside of this comet is actually darker than the front side of it, because there's lights on it. And he said that he was talking about what Avi Loeb was saying, that he believes it's an alien probe, and they're talking about how there's a possibility of it going and parking around some of the planets in our solar system. These are some more pictures of it, by the way, and parking up next to any of the planets in our solar system, basically, and being there as a probe, or maybe it's a big ship and it's sending off probes to all the planets, and I just find that kind of fascinating, because I don't know about you guys, but I've been hearing about this alien invasion. There's like a projected fake alien invasion, okay, that might be coming within the next couple of years or so, and people are wondering, like, is this the beginning of that, or is this a real alien invasion, or what, or is it just a comet? I don't know.
I saw yesterday evening that now they're saying it's giving off more comet-like traits, like starting to develop a tail, or as it gets closer to the sun. One thing I think's interesting, that's, I'm a lot older than you too, but when I was little, it was always the little green men from Mars and flying saucers. That's what my generation baby boomers thought of for UFOs. We expected little green men or little aliens of some kind to come up. Well, now if you think about it, it makes much more sense to send a probe or a drone, something you don't have to put a biological operator in, that can go for, thousands of years and, trek through more than one solar system. So that makes sense to me too. Now that I look at it, and especially with the drone technology we have here on Earth, it would make sense that an even more advanced civilization, even more advanced drones, or things of that nature, to send down and probe and look and make contact. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on that. I think if it's anything from another civilization or whatever, I would think it would be lacking biologics in it at this time, but that's just me.
Oh yeah. What do you think, Nikki?
Yeah, that makes sense, and that's the I watched the Avi, and look, I think I want to say that there's parties can benefit from this, right? And I think that we're seeing a lot of that, right? And so even though that Avi, came out originally, he's got the whatever his Galileo project, and that's exactly what they're looking for. They're looking, life, potentially hostile life, coming toward us at any point in time, right? That's what his research team is. But so we have to put that factor into it, and then who's benefiting from it right now, in perpetuating it and making it seem like an alien invasion, because you're right. I mean, slow drip disclosure has been for a long time, right? And back when all the sightings were happening, December, and then again in January this past year, and it was like, okay, this is it. And I even made the comment, when this broke, I was like, okay, is this it? We've got congressmen, or congresswomen, now coming out and saying, hey, we need to redirect Juno. We need to, redirect government resources or NASA resources to monitor this thing. Of course, that wouldn't be March of next year. But what's interesting to me is just the kind of the methodical, like almost every couple of days, we're getting a different actual report, actual scientific data. And these people, aren't succumbing to Avi Loeb's wishes or whatever he's trying to do, and I did watch an interview with him within the last couple of days where he wasn't, the interviewer was like pushing him on, could this be? And he was really not taking that stand. He was kind of backing off of it a little bit. I think the Spheres report and it's confirming other things, but I think we also have to really think about, okay, if this isn't intelligent in the sense that everyone is expecting it to be, there's a massive thing coming this way, whatever it is. It's gigantic, and yeah, everybody wants it to be, some life forms, but what if it's just a huge rock that we don't know, which direction it's going to go? But the anomalies are just adding up one after the other. Yeah,
they are. They're talking about how it's not going to hit Earth. It's going to go by the sun, kind of more closer to the sun, I think. So, and you said it was really large, right? And I wanted to kind of give some stats on it. This is what, from my earlier research that I did on this, they said that it's moving fast, over 60 kilometers every second, and it might be about 20 kilometers wide. It's pretty big.
It's now up to 46.
Unbelievable.
Oh, now it's up to 46.
One of the last ones was estimating it could,
doubled in size.
Right, could be.
Dang. I figured there was an update on the size too, but I wasn't sure. That's just what I had from last week, I think. Man, that's really big. That's really big. I actually, I have some other objects that I've thought maybe we talk about later in the show that I have, and some of them are like 100 miles wide and stuff, like some big things that have been found, near the sun. And yeah, there's just so much. Why do you guys think that this is such a big deal right now? I mean, it is a big deal right now. Do you think it's because we're getting more disclosure? You think our government is maybe kind of opening us up to this? And I mean, there's people in the chat, they're talking about how Avi Loeb could be some kind of a plant or something. And there's an agenda behind it. But do you think this is like full disclosure coming out, John?
I don't know if it's full disclosure, but it's way more disclosure we've been getting since 2017 than I ever thought we'd see in my lifetime. Yeah. Now you're not, if you report a UFO, you're not laughed at or scoffed. Where back when I was a child or something, there was a report on the news about people seeing a UFO. They immediately focused on the people and made them look like rubes or idiots and they're not doing that anymore. And they're actually showing, educated professionals that are seeing these things, like the Navy pilots. And I don't, but then again, you got to watch for the hype too. This morning, there was a report on the news that's showing that, the 3-eye atlas is going to have, I forget how many thousands of miles, these sunbursts that are coming up, or solar storms. And I'm thinking, well, why is that a big? Should we be more concerned that those things are coming than worrying about that rock out there? But we had suspected water leak out here this morning, so I didn't get to watch. I had to go outside with a flashlight because the water pressure was low and find a water leak for Monica that wasn't there. So I didn't get to see what the whole thing was. I just thought it was like, man, you're kind of hyping it where you're more worried about that rock than you are our planet. And I'll add real quick too, another thing. I know a lot of people in the Christian community got a little, they're pretty worked up about, they're wondering, hey, is this where, there's going to be the rapture and these beings are going to show up and say, hey, we took all the Christians, there's that theory about how they would explain the rapture. All of a sudden, millions of people are missing. They would say, well, these are aliens here now, and they took them to re-educate them because, they were the whole problem and this and that. And, you throw that in with everything happening in the Middle East and AI, a lot of people are keyed up. A lot of people are, I know a lot of Christians. I have a lot of Christian friends that are convinced we're going to get raptured in September. And I don't think anybody knows when it's going to happen. I would love September. I'm kind of tired of fighting this illness. If I could go away and be healed, that'd be great. But we just don't know what's going on. We really don't know what this thing is. And I think we're getting a lot of hype, but with that hype, we're getting a lot of information too, as Nick is pointing out. So your guess is as good as mine on what it could be or what's going to happen with it.
You make some good points, John. And in the, I was going to say in the words, but I can't remember if I can quote Barry exactly correctly. But my friend Barry Littleton and I have talked about this, and he said, well, this is something that always happens. We had a Muamua a while back. I forgot how many years ago that was. I think it was like 15 years ago. I can't remember. But he was like, we had this, and it's always the same story. It's always the same thing. It's the same, it's doom and gloom. And, here, we're going to be invaded by aliens. He's like, it's the same thing. It's really just pumping fear into society, basically. It's pumping fear. It's it's like a psychological operation, kind of. I know people are putting in the comments.
Fear sells news shows, sells movies, sells books. Fear sells.
Oh yeah. Well, it's given us something to talk about today, isn't it? So I think it's fascinating. It definitely is fascinating. I did want to bring up one more point about this 3-eye atlas. What Avi Loeb was saying, he claims that there's a light signal. He said this light signal, these forward-facing lights, as they're calling them, is a nuclear power source capable of driving a vessel across galaxies. Okay, a nuclear power source. So that would say that this is more than just a big old rock flying through space. According to him, though, okay, this is what the information he's been putting out. So I don't know. What do y'all think about that? Nuclear power.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. I don't. He's written a lot, right? And he's written a lot from. It's like every time one of these, predominant reports or observations come out, he's writing as it. So, he on the recent podcast that I heard him talk on, he was very speculative, like all of his wordings were not as much as he had written before. Like before he would write that this is what this is, and now he's like, this is what it could be. And he, even on his scale, he created a scale because of this, it's a 4 out of 10 as being probable intelligence. So it's still even low on his own scale. So anyway, the comparison between the last two, I think the first one, the Oumuamua, was 2017, and then it was 2019 that we had number 2, Borsevo or something like that, and now of course this one. But by comparison, I think that we're looking at something totally different, with this one, even with the others, and the fact that it's omitting CO2 and there's not a lot of water around it. I think that's what has most of the scientists like kind of baffled right now. And I don't know if that's like in our mind, how, again, not a scientist, I don't know. We think about, okay, well, this thing's putting something off, right? It's not, it's creating its own light because, what's reflecting is not what they're seeing omitted. So it's somehow generating its own light. It's CO2 rich. As you said, it's going out of our view, so we're not going to see this once it gets closest to the sun at perihelion. It's going to be out of our view. It's going to be in the constellation Virgo, and it's going to set there. I don't see anybody else really talking about this, but this is something that I looked at first off. Okay, where is the placement going to be? Because we see signs in the stars all the time, so it's going to sit in the constellation Virgo for this entire time, basically, that it's out of our view. It's going to become the bright star of the morning, which is interesting language.
That is.
In conjunction with Venus around that same time in the constellation of Virgo. We're going to see it, get very close to, many other planets, close enough to dispatch drones, as John was saying, as this being speculated. So, is this something that is this, gigantic mothership type of thing, and and it's just going to deploy probes out to each of our planets? I don't know. The trajectory, to me, I wasn't on board with any of it, and then when I saw the trajectory, I'm like, this is weird. This is weird that it's coming in this way, that it's not common, that a space rock from especially from interstellar space, would line up this way.
Nikki, let me ask you a question. I just saw a little bit on this about the trajectory. It's not going to whip around the sun. From what I saw, it's going so fast, it's just going to keep going. Is that correct, or am I wrong?
Yeah, no, from what I understand, that the models I've seen, that yes, it's going to go on the other side of the sun, but on continuously.
Continue. It's not going to get the pullback. No, because just even with like the green comet that we saw in 2023, I wrote a lot about it at the time because it was in September and there was a whole lot of correlations with dates, and interestingly enough, it was around the 23rd of September, which everybody's freaking out about that date this year. But there was a lot about that comet at that time. And yeah, normally when they're in our solar system, that's what we see, right? Once they come in, we'll see that. But with these being out interstellar, I guess they just continue to go outside. They're just passing by. Yeah. And it, like you, I've been hearing the same about 23rd, and if that's true, I'm all for it. But yeah, there is so much going on in the world, and then you have this that speculation is through the roof, not only for us or for Christians, but for everybody. Everybody's just hyped up.
Mhm.
I think, I don't think I've ever seen this much attention on UFOs or interplanetary life forms. Not this much as we're getting. It's like we're just getting buried in it right now. This thing has really attracted people's attention and opened up their thought process or their interest or whatever you want to call it. But people are just obsessed with this thing, it seems like, or
Mhm.
become obsessed with UFOs or alien life forms.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm excited about all the disclosure. Actually, I'm super excited about it because I come from the cryptid angle, okay, and trying to put out some disclosure for as far as like Bigfoots go and dog-headed humanoids and stuff like that, things that I've experienced in real life, and I'm trying to, and I've had UFO experience out in the field. We oftentimes have UFOs out in the field when we're looking for Bigfoot out there. So we know that, and we've had, the missing time phenomenon. I mean, pretty much everything that goes along with UFOs and the high strangeness of that. Even I've even seen, I've been face to face with ETs before. Okay, out. Well, I would say out in the field, but it was actually it showed up at my house when after I'd been out in the field. So really, really strange stuff. I'm all for the disclosure. That's why I do my shows, and to see everybody hyped up and excited about all of this is great. But I'm also seeing that there's disclosure as far as like triangular craft, for instance, that
Yeah,
we
I've
have
seen all that.
oftentimes believed. Yeah, we believe it's outer space extraterrestrial craft. Well, there's been some disclosure recently of what is it called, the TR3B. John, I bet you're familiar with that, right?
Well, not really, because that's past my it was still
Your pay grade.
SR-71s when I was in. So yeah, I'm seeing it and I find it fascinating. I don't know though. I would think they'd be flying that thing at night and from places like Area 51 where everybody can't see it, but seems like it's getting a lot of people reporting seeing it.
They are, well, okay. The disclosure is coming out right now that these are actually not extraterrestrial craft. This is a triangular shaped flying machine, doesn't rely on fuel, is powered by anti-gravity, frequently seen in videos, UFOs, totally defying the laws of physics. It has a plasma ring booster in the middle of it, at the heart of it, which creates a localized gravitational distortion field by spinning liquid metal at a high speed. It does sound like it's science fiction, but in the 1990s, the US military was rumored to have this technology, and retired military engineers have hinted that this is our first non rocket dependent prototype of an interplanetary vehicle. And these things have been in the making and are being dispatched and used right now. And that has been some of the recent disclosure that I came across, actually, that those are not extraterrestrial. I mean, it may be ET technology. It's been reverse engineered or something. I mean, but our militaries. It says U.S.
Or
Air
it could
Force.
be them saying, "Hey, that's ours," so people don't worry, even though it's not
Oh,
ours. But I mean, who
oh,
knows? But yeah, I think it's kind of cool. I think it's really cool. If if that's the case, it's gonna rewrite the book on space travel. I mean, there's no reason to keep shooting up rockets if we got something like that can
mhm.
travel into space and back.
And then you add the layer of, well, what if they're utilizing stargates and portals, things like that too, right?
Well,
So,
yeah, and my thing is, I kind of lean toward if there is alien life form visiting us, it's coming through another dimension. I don't really subscribe to the deep space alien things, although you know, Three Eye Atlas may make me smarter and look like a fool at the same time. But I tend to think we never see them coming; we always see them around, and so I don't really believe they're coming from deep space. I think it's more of a excuse me, interdimensional thing. But it's just my opinion.
mhm. Susan in the chat says, I heard TR3B is an old model dang it, I'm already behind the times, y'all. Okay. She said now it's the TR9B. Okay. So this, they tell us that like anything that we see technologically, what they're shown, the public is shown, it's way behind what they've already got. They're just showing us their old models and stuff. They probably had this for 50 years or more, probably out there, for all we know. Some people say it's like 100 years. We're 100 years behind. Okay, as far as the technology that's out there. So, I don't know.
Who knows?
It's really interesting, though, right?
The
Yeah, I
government
think that
has
there's a
secrets
lot
and
of
it has its
yeah.
toys. I remember I was in before the first stealth fighter and stealth bomber was made public, and I knew guys that had been on the program working on it, and we never knew until after they released the videos of the actual aircraft. Then all of a sudden their commander's like, yeah, this guy was a crew chief on this guy, and then they could talk about it. But I worked right next to these guys, never knew they had been involved in it. So they got their secrets, and they do manage to keep them.
That's one thing that our government's really good at too, in our military, is keeping secrets.
And those private contractors, and until the private contractors, I think, get some type of just pass at everything that they've hidden, and everything that they've deployed against civilians and everything that they're going to stay hidden. There's going to have to be some type of widespread, okay, you're off the hook,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's so much that's been hidden from us. And I had a good friend of mine on the show Monday. His name's James Rink, and he has a YouTube channel called Super Soldier Talk. And I'm actually speaking at his conference, the Super Soldier Activation Conference in October. And there, there's a pretty, I wouldn't say a large group of people, but there's a bunch of people that claim to have been part of secret space programs within our military, the U.S. Navy, actually, with some of them, like my friend Daryl James. But they claim to have been in these programs where they've gone back. Basically, some of them have signed up for it through the Navy, through special programs. Other people had been like kidnapped, and it was like children that were using some of these programs, they say, and they call it the 20 and back. And where they're taken from one point in their life, like let's just say like at 12 years old, they're taken out of the room at night, put into a program, they do it for 20 years, and then they grow into like adulthood in these programs off planet somewhere, like Ceres is where Tony Rodriguez said that he'd been. And then one morning he wakes up and he's a kid again in that 12-year-old body after he had gone for 20 years into these programs. Now, I think it's fascinating to hear about stuff like that. But what if you guys, are y'all familiar with the secret space programs, and do you think that our government would even be capable of doing something like that?
When I was a child, I was roughly 10 when Apollo 11 landed on the moon, and NASA was the gold standard when I was a kid. I mean, we loved it. I drank Tang. I had little rockets, little Saturn V rockets, and now, there's so many people saying, oh, NASA's a joke. We never went to the moon. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. We couldn't get past the Van Allen belt. Some of that makes a lot of sense. But the one thing that does not make sense to me is how you keep a leak from coming out of 44,000 employees. Sooner or later, somebody's going to talk, I would think. But then, like I said, I worked right next to a couple of guys that had been in stealth program and never knew it. But that's military life. That's completely different. They're gonna scare the dickens out of you, by saying anything. With threats if you say anything. So, but to keep 44,000 civilians and government employees from speaking or leaking, I don't know how they do it. What do you think, Nikki?
I think that there is widespread mind control that's been enacted upon the public by our military. I think that it was covert and it was targeted through special programs at first, and then I think that it has it did its due there, and so it was expanded. There's too many correlations between targeted individuals and alien abduction individuals, and there's too many crossovers. There's just, now we know mind frequency technologies that literally can be implemented directly toward us while we sleep, and give us hallucinations or
advertisements too.
Yeah,
During our sleep.
I recently wrote a presentation for a gentleman, and doing research with that. I came across a patent, in the early 80s that was subliminal messaging at shopping centers, so department stores, because we really didn't have malls then, so they were piping through subliminal messaging while people shopped, and the technology was so it was fed in through the elevator music that we listened to while we shopped at whatever back then, Kmart, whatever it was.
Consume.
Yeah, well, it was don't steal.
Oh.
It was for theft. It was anti-theft.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, and you gotta pay for this, kind of things, whatever.
Whoa.
So these things aren't new. It's I've talked with a lot of targeted individuals and why certain people are targeted. Now, I don't want to say that everybody that claims they're targeted is truly targeted, because there's a lot of mental health issues going on out there that are continuing to rise, and will continue to rise as we get down the timeline. But yes, I definitely think that, and I've heard a lot about the the 20 and back program. I also find it interesting that coma patients that have been in long-term comas some of them have also reported the exact same thing that you said, with the 20 and back program. They in their coma state get married, they have a whole entire life, they have children, and then they wake up from a 15-year coma, and they're distraught because they've left that other reality that was there. So my question is, was that fed into them by the hospital as a mind control program, because they were already in a somewhat vegetative state, and so they were being manipulated? Or is that something that our consciousness can just move toward when we for whatever reason are cut off from this one?
Well, they show us that scenario actually in the movie The Matrix, and even the movie the Avatar movies as well. It's all in your mind, your subconscious and stuff. And you can have what does Barry call it? The twins. I forgot what he called it, but some kind of, like, it's almost like a digital twin or something. Or like your body's here, but then your mind is somewhere else. Like you're in another dimension, basically. And I've never even heard about the people in the comas having those experiences like that.
Yeah.
That is fascinating.
Yeah,
that is something to really look into. Actually, I'm going to do some research on that. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yes, there's all kinds of correlations, and to your point that everything does seem to be converging, as we're learning about all these things at a breakneck speed, and then of course this disclosure, whether it is something orchestrated by the powers that be or not, it's definitely something that's escalated for sure.
Wow. Scott says he's never heard that about the coma either. We're going to look into that some more, y'all.
Absolutely.
That is fantastic. I think that it has, there could be some ties, seriously, to some of the secret space program stuff. Definitely.
There is one gentleman I was going to ask you. I'll have to get back with you about that super soldier program. He's now a Christian, but he has been very forthcoming in what he did in that program when he was a child. And it's something it's really hard to listen to, a lot of what they're claiming, but Yeah. Nathan Reynolds. That's his name.
Nathan, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
he's got some fantastic, that's some wild testimony that he's got.
Wild.
It's very much tied into like secret societies
It
and
is.
The Illuminati and that kind of stuff.
And then he claims he went into the secret, not the 20 and back, but into the secret soldier program, because he thought the military was the way to go. And so, of course, with his ties with, his ancient bloodline family, he claims to be a Nephilim bloodline family, that, they utilized him for that, like that super soldier type of program.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, listen, in all of my days, I have realized, and I've come to the conclusion that if anything can be weaponized, if any person, any consciousness, anything can be weaponized, it is weaponized and used. And we're even diving into like, there, a lot of the testimonies do involve a lot of slavery as well. I mean, but aren't we? I mean, somebody say that we live on a prison planet, y'all. Okay. Right. And we do. We
absolutely do. And there's, if you ask us, the only way to break through that is through Jesus Christ. He is the only way out of this prison planet. Is it? We are, since the fall, we have been locked down in this prison planet. Scripture refers to it.
Oh yeah. Yes. It's important to believe, to have faith and to hold that near and dear, especially in these times, y'all. Absolutely. 100%, because, with the things that we have being the fear-based mentality that is kind of pumped into society all the time. And I do believe, I mean, no matter what people say about this interstellar object that's hurling towards Earth, that may be, filled with aliens, it might be part of the secret space program. It might just be a comet. We don't know. But nonetheless, they've been preparing us. And I don't watch the news anymore, y'all. I quit watching the news. It's too sad and too much fear. And I try to live on the vibration of love, okay, and no fear. And I encourage my audience every single time I have a show at the very end. I say, don't live in fear, live in awareness. Okay, know what's going on, understand the kind of the psychology behind what's being poured into society right now as far as psychological warfare and stuff like that. But put on the full armor of God every day, because we have to suit up to protect ourselves and our children. Okay, I've got a kid. And that's 100%. Why I speak of this all the time. We got to protect our children when it comes to all the psychological warfare that's going on out there, and spiritual warfare, y'all. This is spiritual war,
100%,
big time. Yeah,
exactly.
Spiritual warfare,
big time. Well, I mean, I have a couple of other things I wanted to cover before we go today. Speaking of kids, I do have to pick up my son in about 15-20 minutes, y'all. So I'm gonna let's move on to this other thing. I wanted to get your opinion on this. Okay, we've got 3-Eye Atlas. We also have some declassified footage from NASA. Okay, and I wanted to show this to you guys and see what you get your thoughts on this. Let's see if this is the picture right here, I believe. Okay, so there has been the UFO community has been talking about this a little bit. Now, this didn't happen just super recently, okay, but there's been some declassified footage from NASA. It reportedly shows an enormous UFO, an estimated 2,000-mile long object, is hovering near Saturn's rings. I've got a couple of different exposures on that right there. The footage is said to be from the Cassini spacecraft's vast archive. So this is from a while back, but it shows a sleek metallic object, unlike any natural celestial body previously documented. Its immense size and symmetrical structure have left some experts to question whether it could be a relic of advanced ET engineering, while some say that that the anomalies and data interpretation are just saying that it's some natural phenomenon. But the declassified footage reveals a massive object with smooth surfaces and sharp angular edges, distinctly artificial features when compared to Saturn's moons and rocky debris. And it's suspended near the gas giant's rings. The object's sheer scale dwarfs any known spacecraft. And with no apparent propulsion system or motion, the object seems silently to lurk, which really deepens the mystery of it. And they say that people have been looking into this, pouring all the research into this right now since they declassified this. And that's another picture right there. That's really big. Okay, all these objects. I have covered, okay, I know this is not the same, but I've covered right by the sun. There's like this huge mass. It's like a big cube. It looks like it's a cube tethered to the sun. Okay. And some say that's like a big AI. Okay. Something that's got to do with AI. It's not natural, y'all. It's not natural. It's almost like an extraterrestrial type of AI or something. I mean, some people are saying that also about this comet /3i Atlas. It could be some form of AI as well. That's what some people are saying. But with all of this, if NASA is declassifying these pictures, stuff like that, I think this is just more part of the disclosure, I guess. There's so many people that are pulling things. And like you said, John, earlier, it's the disclosure. And it's kind of all being pumped into society right now. It's a mass awakening, if you want to call it that, right?
Do any of you know that that object you showed, that was Saturn, right? Or was it Jupiter?
Saturn, because they said it was in
Is
the
it in
rings
orbit?
of Saturn.
Is it stationary orbit? Is it moving by its own power?
Well, it says that it's lurking. Okay, I did pick up the keyword lurking. So lurking would suggest that it's moving slowly, maybe. It says it's a sleek metallic object unlike any celestial body previously documented. And it doesn't say that it's moving. Well, it says a UFO. UFO. Well, they're calling it a UFO. Okay. It's just a massive object. It says no apparent propulsion system or motion. So that means that it's not really moving if there's not a lot of motion to it.
Well, this one's escaped my attention. I'm kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
But I might have to.
I haven't heard of it either.
You haven't heard of it
We'll
either?
have to look it up.
No, I haven't. Now I have many documented photos around the sun of unexplained.
Yes.
You know, and you have to be careful because there's a lot of refraction with the satellites that take these photos, and you can see that a lot of times. You know, some circular or little, not dust. It's not dust. I don't know what it is in space, but you know, you can see the refraction from the components of the camera or whatever. So, but yeah, I did some research for a guy on X back at the beginning of this year, and we did a space on it, and kind of presented it. Nobody wants to hear it. Like, I couldn't believe that the people in the UFO community weren't interested in this at all. And you know, since then I've seen a few people talk about it, but it's really just kind of dismissed. I mean, we're talking massive size if that's what if these are actual, you know, some type of crafts, and they're not, you know, that we're catching there close to the sun or past the sun, then they're massive, you know.
Oh yeah, there's big as planets and stuff. Some of them, I mean, they're gigantic.
Yeah. Yes,
for sure. And speaking of that, I have one more. Okay, I have one more picture to show, or I actually got 3 pictures, but this one thing. And this is something that's kind of interesting too. And this is old. Okay, it's kind of old. It was there used to be a site that you could go to called Google Sky. Are y'all familiar with that?
Yeah,
you could look things up online. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I don't know if they still have Google Sky anymore, because people that were basically like us, like amateur sky watchers, space watchers, I guess you could call us. Not me, because I never went to the site, by the way, until today or yesterday, when I was doing my research on this. I looked it up, but it picked up. Okay, some amateur sky watchers, space watchers, picked this up right here, and it was actually quickly taken down. Okay, so Google Sky has been taken offline, but there was a massive red glowing object, planet-sized. It was a sphere that was sitting in space, radiated a structure with ominous presence. It had uniformity that made it look solid. 2 arcs of light came out from each side, balanced and symmetrical. It looked like it was cutting through space and leaving some kind of illumination behind it. Okay, like something was moving through space, whatever this is. Now, people began questioning this, and Google Sky shut down, like literally shut down. And when they did come back online, the images were gone. So people were saying, well, they were deliberately censoring these images. And people were like, what in the world is that? Was it a planet? Okay, it looked like it had depth, coloration, and texture. Was it a planet? Did it have a trail of plasma behind it? or could they have been rings like Saturn? And what was up with the glowing? It looked like it was glowing. And so what was that about? They said that it was 100 times larger than the 3-eye atlas is.
Let me ask you too something. I'm looking at my phone. That's why I'm like creeping up on it. Does it look like it has, this sounds silly, but does it look like it has a face? I mean, what I'm looking at, I can see like two dark areas. There's kind of like an eye and a mouth, and possibly where another eye would be. And it's probably my phone, but it looks like a clown to me. It looks like a clown.
It looks like Bozo.
Sorry. Yeah, it does.
It's strange, right? It's very strange. Well, people were just wondering, well, I guess the word on the street was, well, a lot of people were saying it could be Nibiru or even, Planet X or Nibiru. But it does look like Bozo the Clown, John. You have a good eye.
Well, it's hang on just a second. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think about it, Nikki? Do you have an opinion at all?
No, the only thing that it reminded me of is, when you zoom in on the planets with a smartphone, it will give you that dot right in the middle. And a lot of times they'll look like a wheel within a wheel. A lot of times. It frequently does that to me. So anyway, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, okay. There's that, but that, the brown dwarf, Nibiru, destroyer, whatever name, any name, is definitely something that, we were hearing it a lot. I honestly think that we don't hear about it as much anymore that we did, even 5 years ago. So I think that's interesting too. So I feel that when they're chemtrailing or, our skies at night, they're keeping us from seeing something. It's not about sun reflection when it's done in the evening and at night. So it has to be, just cover. It has to be cover. I don't know what else it could be.
Ooh, that's an interesting theory. And I've not thought of that before. Excuse me. I've not thought of that before. They're actually trying to cover something up that's going on up in space.
Nikki, that makes a lot of sense. When we moved out here in 2018, the nights were so beautiful. You could see the Milky Way, perfect, just beautiful. And now we're not able to see as much. It's weird. We thought maybe it was light pollution, but there hasn't been that much light added out here. So that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for saying that. Something to consider.
It is, Nikki. I was just thinking about something when you said that, when you use, especially like if you use your phone to take a picture, look at something, right? It usually has that dot in the middle. Have you heard the theory? And I don't know, I don't have an iPhone. I have a Android. Okay. They say that I believe it's on iPhones, that if you take a picture of the moon and you zoom in, it's like the same picture of the moon. It's almost like it's not natural. It's like some kind of AI on your phone that will show the same picture of the moon every time.
Not for me. I have tried. Okay. Like I can't take a good picture of the moon with my iPhone. I don't know. I take pictures of the moon, but no, it doesn't do that. I've seen videos of that online or something where it looks perfect. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how they do it. So yeah. I didn't know if it was an iPhone or not, but definitely with my iPhone, I can't do it. No.
Well, I do know that AI is taking over, and it's hard. And being a cryptid researcher and a podcaster that does live shows, it's hard to tell what evidence is real and what's AI today sometimes, and so it really sucks, y'all. Yeah,
and even audiences and things like that, I think we're close to 85% of all online traffic is bots.
Dang it.
In the portion of nefarious bots that even get into your chat or follows or whatever, and they interact like humans, it's going to get harder and harder, and that's why that we're just falling right into it with, like OpenAI's world, which is the eye scanning orb that, you know, I was kind of streaming about 3 years ago, and now we're actually in place, and they're going to be rolling out thousands of them. I think 1,200 or something like that by the end of this year. But that is going to save us, you know, they're going to save us so we can really prove we're human when we get online.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I am team human all the way. I mean, I was even covering last week, we covered pregnant robots.
Yeah.
That's horrible. Like with human babies. So
I wrote about that in 2021. I think I wrote about that because there was a whole, it was Matrix. I mean, it was exactly what you would think of, you know, as the Matrix. And now we're seeing more and more of it. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's more important than ever to be human. Okay. And I think there's a lot of people out there that aren't human, and that's okay. That's okay. But but also the head of my Bigfoot research team, my original team, he's always questioning. He's like, he would always pose the question to us, what does it mean to be human? And it seems so just like like that question was like, why are you asking us that? But now today, fast forward, 15 years in the future, it's like, oh my gosh, this is what he was talking about. What does it mean to be human at this point? Who's human? What's human? And how do we keep our humanity in days like this? And I think you answered it with your religion, with Jesus, with God, putting that full armor of God on every day, right? And having something to keep hope in this world and love, and protecting our children and all that. These are crazy times.
I don't know if either of you ever watched the Kirk Cameron show. He's got his own podcast thing now. And he had a thing on yesterday that was just scary. He was talking about how AI has its own language now where two machines will talk to each other. It's called Gibber. Have you heard of Gibber?
Golly. Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yes.
And it just sounds creepy. I'm like, okay, why did they allow these things to develop this language? People will not be able to understand it. Only they'll understand. But Kirk Cameron said something really profound to me as a Christian. He said, God will unravel that thing when he's ready. God knows what it's saying. So, I mean, as bad as things are, they can only go so far, and I don't know what your rules are on your page here. I hope I haven't said too much to get you. I know time I said something about somebody unalive, and you said we can't use that word anymore. I'm like,
unalive. I know we do.
So
we
I never know what rules
words.
are up before one episode to the next.
Yes. Well, you'll learn when you get into your podcast, it's going where you have to use code words sometimes. And it's almost like I'm censoring. So I've kind of slacked off from it a little bit, and we blurt out anything at this point. And it's like, well, what's the worst? I don't know if the censorship is as bad now as it was a couple years ago. But yeah, we try to kind of stick to the rules, but I don't know. Everything is so crazy in the world right now. And I've had some pretty intense whistleblowers on my show lately. And they're talking about military bases. And
there was 2 times I remember you saying, "Oh, we don't use that anymore," and I'm like, "It's a simple word." But
I know, right?
But that was back. Yeah, that was back in the heyday, back around COVID and all that. So,
oh yeah,
yeah, there was a lot more. Yeah, there was a lot going on in those days.
Oh yeah. Well, you guys, we have had, this has been a wonderful show. We're kind of reaching the end of the show today, and I want to thank you both from the bottom of my heart for being here today. Nikki, it's so wonderful getting to meet you today, and having this conversation with you, and you too, John.
Well, it's good to see you again, Jessica. Good to be back.
Well, can you guys tell the audience about your new podcast coming up? And of course, John, we want to talk about your books before we go today and where people can find them. And Nikki, anything you'd like to promote today as well?
Go ahead,
John, Nikki. Go ahead, Nikki.
Yeah, I'm just kind of along for the ride at this point. I am, most of my time, social time, is going to be on X. So if you guys are on there, you definitely can check me out there. I do have a Substack as well. If you don't mind, I can give you those links and you can put in the comments or in your show details if you don't mind. So
please, yes, send those to me and we'll get them up. We'll put them in the comment section in the description box as well.
Okay.
For the audience. Thank you.
Yeah. And and with John, I told him we're gonna do this thing. We're gonna do it as best we can, and I'm gonna be there as much as I possibly can on camera. Sometimes I may not be on camera, but still, supporting things on the back end of it all. But yeah, I'm excited.
I can't wait to hear your new podcast.
We've known each other a couple of years now, right, Nikki?
Yes.
And 99.9% of our conversation has been text. I think we talked one time for just a couple of minutes. And so today she's like, "Oh, I'm going to be on when I can," and stuff. I'm like, "No, you're obviously the brains of the outfit. You're going to have to be on a lot." But it was really good to. This is really our first face-to-face meeting. So this has been awesome. You just impressed me. I'm so glad that you're willing to help me with this thing. You're awesome, very intelligent, well-spoken. Man, just looking forward to this.
Great.
And Jessica, I can never thank you enough. I tell people that are wanting to get on a podcast, I always suggest yours. I said, man, I've been on that thing. It's like home now. I love being on her podcast. And a lot of times, like if I'm going on somebody else's, I'm kind of nervous and fidgety. But when I'm on yours, I'm like, just get the camera set up. It's Jessica. It's like going and talking to your little sister or something. So I really enjoyed being here today.
Thank you, John.
And I know
that makes
you
me feel
go
good.
Get that young man, so go get him and tell him I'm hoping to have another book out for him before too long.
Well, tell everybody where they can find your books, John. I've got your link here, and people
right there. Best place to go is www.relicsbooks.com. You can find them on. You can go straight to Amazon. You can go. They're on Walmart. They're on Target.com. You can find them there as well. So I've had a bit of a hiatus from getting books published. It's been 2 years nearly since I put one out, but now I'm feeling better. I'm back to writing. So hopefully I'll have a new one out soon, and I'll have the new edition of Relics out shortly as well. So all my book fans that have hung out and waited on these books, thank you. I didn't schedule this long vacation. It was just kind of forced on me. So I'm glad to be back.
Well, John, thank you so much for being here today. I am so tickled. I knew the day would come, and it's sooner than later, and it was sooner. So thank you so much, everybody. Please go out and support John and Nikki as well, and of course we got to show your graphic for your new podcast as well.
And that's Nikki's work, and I really love it. And yeah, she's got a lot going on. I don't know how she does the things she does with the young family, and I'm just blessed she, have her as a friend and have her assisting me on this podcast. It's going to be awesome. So,
Nikki, I was telling John before you got here, I said, well, if you want something done right, you give it to a busy person, right? Someone who's already super busy, because they get the job done.
Yeah, there's not time to linger, really. I mean, you just got to do it and on. Yeah. Homeschool, work, and and everything else. So it's busy time, but what else will we do, right?
Exactly. Well, so the podcast is coming out in the future. It's not out yet, but it will be coming out.
I'm hoping to fire it off in late September is what I'm aiming for. I gave myself a little time, so.
Awesome. Well, as soon as you guys get it put out there, send me the links. We'll advertise and bring y'all back on, and we'll talk about it.
We'll have to have you on too at some point. Be our guest. So.
Well, thank you. Hey, anytime, put me down. I'll be your guest anytime y'all need me. Okay, and y'all please come back and see me. Okay, and we'll do this again. Hopefully,
Right.
nothing crazy will happen between now and November when this 3-eye atlas is coming close to the Earth, y'all. Okay. Hopefully, we will all be just fine. It's just going to be another blip on the radar. Okay. And but nonetheless, everybody, thank you all so much for being here. I want to thank the audience and for all of my moderators today. My moderators were putting the links to your books and stuff in the chat today, John. Okay. And so, yeah. So thank you guys so much for all the support. Candy, thank you for that super sticker. I appreciate you so much. And you guys, please come back and see me tomorrow night. I will be here back with a live show at 8 p.m. Eastern. Be there or be square. Okay. Be here or be square. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. And of course, on Saturday night, we do have, I need to double check with my guest. He's in the chat right now, but before I announce it, I got to make sure he's definitely coming on the show. And we're going to have a fantastic show. It may deal with Atlanta dogmen in Atlanta and Bigfoots downtown. Okay. So please come back and see us. And everybody, please stay safe out there. Please don't live in fear. We talk about some really weird, crazy stuff. But just live in awareness, like I always say. And I'm sending all my love to everybody out there. And we will see you guys tomorrow night. All right. Oops. Oh, gosh. Of course, I hit the wrong button.
Yeah. Loved you.
It happens.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye, ladies. Thank you.
Have a great day, y'all. We'll see you later. Bye.